Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In previous video we have learned Gradle basics and I highly recommend you to watch it before watching this video for better understanding. Today we will take a look at more complex and practical Gradle aspects. To understand them clearly, you might want to watch current videos several times. What we will learn today? We will take a look at Gradle dependency scopes, how to run tasks and how to run them with gradle-wrapper. We'll create a Gradle task from an actual Java class and add the task to a lifecycle. I will try to explain everything by using simple concepts. Let's move to the project. At first, dependency scope. Here, the example of how to declare a dependency in Gradle. First, you write the keyword, which means the name of scope. Next is the credentials of dependency. Firstly, you write the group ID of dependency. Next, after colon is a dependency name of a module, and after colon is a version of dependency. Here you can see the scopes which are used in Gradle. First three scopes are most popular. It's a compileOnly, runtimeOnly, and implementation. You will use them really often. What does it mean? Compile-only means that your dependency would be available on compile stage of a project. For example, it's a servlet API dependency. It's an equivalent of Maven provided. I recommend you to watch the video about Maven on my channel, where you can find what does mean these keywords and these scopes in Maven. Next is the runtime only, means that your dependency would be accessible only in runtime stage. For example, it's a Hibernate or Postgres dependency. It's an equivalent of runtime and Maven scope. Next is an implementation. It's a combination of previous scopes, means that the dependency would be accessible in both stages, compile and runtime. In Maven, it's equivalent of a default scope. Note that previously there were compile and runtime keywords, but now instead of them I used compile only and runtime only. Also, there are one special thing that not all of these dependency scopes are accessible in tests. For example, compile only is not accessible from tests, and runtime only will accessible in test runtime stage, and implementation also would be available in a test implementation, means in test compile, in test runtime stages. If you want to use dependency in compile stage of your tests, you can write a special keyword, special scope, test compile only. So your dependency would be accessible in the test compile stage. And there are also test runtime only and test implementation scopes, which are necessary for tests libraries for your project to store not so much space on a disk. Test implementation is the equivalent of a Maven test scope. Note that there are test compile and test runtime keywords were previously, and instead of them I used test compile only and test runtime only keywords. Next is a special scope, annotation processor. There are no analogs in Maven of this scope. With this scope, you will declare special dependencies such as lombok or abstract, but note that it doesn't mean this dependency would be accessible in runtime or compile stages of your project. It just means that this library is necessary for annotation processing. So if you want to use this library in compile or runtime stages, you will need to declare this dependency with another two scopes. And also test annotation processor, which means that annotation processing would be accessible in tests. We will see at this annotation a little bit further. And last, two dependency scopes, it's an API and compile-only API. API making dependency available when you write in a library or importing module. What does this mean? These scopes are applied when you're creating a library. In such case, your project would be built with a special plugin, which transform your build.gradle file to pom.xml, because it's universal format for remote libraries. And in future, it can be imported not only in Gradle to Gradle projects, but in Maven projects too. And after converting, implementation scope will become as runtime scope in Maven. So dependency would not be accessible in compile scope, which means default scope in Maven. To solve this problem, use API scope, which will be converted to default scope in pom.xml file in Maven. Another reason to use API scope is when you work with multi-module project and import one module to another, then dependencies with the implementation scope would not be accessible from imported project. But with the API scope, it would be accessible as well. And compileOnly API scope, as I know, it just do the same as API scope. I didn't find any differences. I recommend you not to use compileOnly API scope. For better understanding, I want you to watch this image. There are compile class pass and runtime class pass, and which scopes gives you an access to these class passes. Runtime only for runtime class pass, compile only for compile class pass, implementation for both of them, and also runtime and compile keywords. Compile were the equivalent of implementation, and runtime is equivalent of runtime only, like in Maven. Let's add tests to this image and watch to it. Nothing too complex. In test runtime class pass would be accessible runtime only, test runtime only, test implementation and implementation. In test compile class pass would be accessible test compile only, test implementation and implementation. I believe that it will help you to visualize how scopes work. Next, let me show you how to correctly append annotation processing into your project. For instance, if you want to append a Lombok dependency, you need to declare it with an annotation processor scope. And with the compile-only scope, due to this, Lombok annotations will work on your main source code. Okay, but if we want it to work in tests, we need to declare also in this dependency in tests compile-only scope and test annotation processor scope. Now it will work fine, but as you can see is too verbose. How do we can simplify this? Let's command this and we can write the configuration block where we declare that our annotation processor scope will also work in compile-only scope, in test compile-only and test annotation processor scope. It means when you declare a dependency with annotation processor scope, it will be accessible in compile-only, test compile-only, and test annotation processor scopes after appending this configuration block. And now we have finished with dependency scopes and can move to tasks. What is a task in Gradle? The task in Gradle is a work of unit. Every task in Gradle is an object. It can be configured. You can inherit your task from it and add something to it by yourself. In task, you can add any Java or Groovy code, and it's a power and the weakness of Gradle because you can do anything, because developer can do very complex and dangerous things. How to run tasks? If you have installed Gradle, you just need to open terminal and write keyword Gradle and after name of task of your task. To see all tasks in your project, you can write special command Gradle tasks in terminal. Here you can find name of any task and its description. For example, assemble, build, clean, and others. Let's take a look at some useful tasks. Gradle clean, which removes build package. Gradle build builds your project. Gradle build-x test, which builds project and skip test task. Gradlew.bat build with double dash dry dash run, which runs your build task and show tasks run in order. In the last video, I promised to show you how to run tasks with gradle-wrapper. It's particularly simple. Let me show you the project tab. Here I have, as you remember, two scripts, gradlew and gradlew.bat, two files. All you need to run your task with gradle-wrapper is to use one of these scripts. Gradlew.bat is for Windows and Gradlew is for Linux. To use it, you just need to write gradlew.bat example build. And as you can see, the build is successful. Also, you can run tasks from IntelliJ IDEA Gradle toolbar. Here, for example, to run the clean, we can double-click on it. And task completed successfully. Tasks in Gradle represents a lifecycle. As I showed in previous video, most of Gradle plugins imports its own lifecycle. So, for example, Java plugin has the lifecycle, which you can see on your screen for now, and it very similar to Maven default lifecycle. It represents as a cyclic graph, where, for example, build task depends on check and assemble tasks. So, when you run build, all tasks on which it depends will be executed before the build task. The simplest way to see what tasks were executed is to run our task from the Gradle toolbar in IntelliJ IDEA. Let's do it. And you can see that there were executed lots of tasks. And we can see its statuses. For example, up to date means nothing changed in code, so task was ignored. There also could be skipped, which means that task was skipped because of another reason, or no source. It means that there are no source code for running this task. For example, there are no source code for tests. And if task has no any status, for example, let's run the clean task. We can see that clean has no any status. It means that this task was executed. Next, let's take a look at how to create your own task. The simplest way to do this is write it straight in build.gradle file. At first, we write the keyword task, next the name of our new task, and a special block do first with the code inside. Code must be on Groovy. Let's open the Gradle toolbar, refresh the Gradle, and in other block we can see our task. Let's run it by double-clicking and see that it works well. Next, if we want our task to be executed in a lifecycle, we can append a special property depends on and the name of a task after which our task would be executed. Now, let's refresh the Gradle and let's rerun our task. So here you can see that check were executed and all tasks which depends on the check and our task were executed as well. If you want to exclude some task, for example, we want to exclude test task from our lifecycle, we need to write our name of our task, keyword enabled equal false. Let's refresh, let's restart our task, and we see that test task were skipped. It was skipped because it's now disabled. And the best part, let's create your first Gradle task from Java class. You can execute there any code. Let me show you how to do it. At first, let's open the project tab. We need to append dependency of Gradle API. It's already appended to my build.gradle file. Next, create Java class in special folder, which you need to create by yourself. Build src, main, Java, and after that you can create your task in here, but I also put it in a special package compileOnly. Let's open it, and we can see the code of simplest Gradle task. Your class must extend from default task. You can append some properties. For example, here it's a greeting name, and add the setter for this property. Annotation input means that this property, greeting name, must be specified for task running. And last annotation is a task action, which annotates main method. And code in this method would be executed. Next, we need to open our build.gradle file and import our task to build.gradle. After that, we need to write name of our task, append the type, and type must reference to our created class, greeting task. Also, we append the group property, which we would see in the Gradle toolbar, and our necessary property, greeting name. I append viewer greeting name. Let's refresh the Gradle, open the Gradle toolbar, and now we see that our task, new task, in a custom group, and we can run it, and our code were executed. We have come to the end. Try everything what I showed to you in practice. Don't be upset if something is not clear at first. Just keep practice. In next video, we will learn how to create multi-module Gradle project, how to import one subproject to another, and look at how to share dependencies between modules. Hit the like button, and if you want to see more, make sure you down subscribe button. Have an awesome day. I'll see you once again in the next one.